talk a little bit about kind of my own experience over the past month. And, it's just been incredible because for me, this really was exactly living A Course in Miracles, where you allow yourself to find a whole brand new space. And the teachings in Sweden and Denmark were amazing to me. Like, I've really seen there's great power in bringing people together in a physical location. So I believe with all my heart that A Course in Miracles is a self-study, that you can do it at home. And it was designed that way. It was designed to take you through 365 lessons to literally dismantle the thought system of who you think you are as a body. But something happens when we come together in a physical location, and I don't know what that is. But it just feels like there's a speed up when we come together, and that's why I love this Friday group, because we come together with one intention and one purpose to simply be in this moment and remember who we are. And so when you look at the things that have happened over the last month, it's extraordinary. The whole thing with the forgiveness, with the killing of all of those people in the church, and how those families just stepped forth and said, we forgive you. And then just all the changes that are being made, with the equality of gay marriage, and this is the one mind that we share. You see, like, we're literally getting the effects now in the world of the work that we've all been doing. And it's showing up more and more and more. And so, for me, the experience of this past month is that it's a constant expansion always. Like, no matter where you think you've arrived, where you think you know something, you're always going to be wrong. And that's the exciting part, because, like, my experience is, I went to Denmark, then we went to Sweden, and it was just setting up workshops. And then I went to France with a girlfriend of mine. I went to France on this holiday, finally took a holiday for myself, and she's a travel writer for National Geographic and the New York Times, and so she finds all these off the beaten path trips. And so we went on a hike along a canal in Brittany, France, and we walked between 8 and 12 miles a day. And I saw it as a literally dismantling of everything. On the first day, I've got this huge backpack. I spent $1,000 in gear. That didn't even talk about the plane ticket there, or the bed and breakfast and the food. $1,000 in gear. And on the first day, I'm like, fuck this. I am not carrying this backpack anymore. And my friend, she told me I had to have this backpack. This is the best backpack that money can buy. And you need to have this backpack. And you need to order it 6 weeks in advance, because they have a weight on it, and you don't want to miss out on it. So I've got this backpack, and she shows up with this tiny little baby thing. And I'm like, got this huge grievance for 2 days. So she's just strolling along with this little lightweight thing. And finally I said something to her. I'm like, why did you tell me to buy this and you have that thing? She goes, I am so sorry, but I just found out about this 2 weeks ago. So I just said, I'm not carrying this. And so I just started giving all my stuff away. Like, I gave everything away. And I was left with 2 pairs of pants, 2 shirts, this is one of them. I had this baby blue Coach bag, and then finally my hair went. I just thought, like, this is a new moment for me. And so coming back here, I literally am finding my own way again. So I'm just glad that we're all together. And I wanted to invite Al up. First, I do want to have a prayer, and then I just wanted to give a little talk on just some ideas that have been coming to me in the past couple days about the importance of finding your function and fulfilling it. Because lesson 64 says you will never be happy until you find your function and fulfill it. So I wanted to talk today just about finding your gift. And your gift is different than your abilities. It's different than your talent. That each one of us has something that's uniquely for you. Something that you do that has no effort. And when you do it, you're happy. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about that. But first we'll do a prayer. So if everyone just take anything that's on your lap and just closing your eyes. And just take a really deep breath in, deep breath out. And I want you to just, when you're breathing, just to really know that this is light. It's just the light of Christ coming in, light of Christ going out. And here we are. Lord, here we are. I give thanks that we are together and that we are joined in one intent, one purpose, one goal, to remember the truth. And in this holy space where we are, anything that is not of the light is now dissolving. This is the 4th of July. This is our independence. We are free. So in this day, just know that anything that's been holding you back, any blocks, any obstacles, this is the day. And our job is simply just to allow them to be removed. We open our hearts, we open our minds, we open our hands to receive, that we may bring forth the gift of God's love into this world. Let this be a time of celebration, of union, of joining, and of peace. Amen. Al, would you like to come up here and share a little bit? Awesome, Al.
I'm always amazed that somebody claps when I come up here. Hi, you guys, I've missed you all.
We missed you too, Al.
Yes, too.
We had a great time in Denmark and Sweden. I got to tell you that the wedding was the best part for me. And Lisa Natoli, come up here.
Come on.
If anybody ever wants to get married, not
If
that I'm
anybody wants to
suggesting
get
that or
married,
anything,
call me.
this is the woman that had performed the ceremony. She did a fantastic job, and the wedding itself was just beautiful. It was a Course in Miracles wedding from the start to the end. Fleming started off before the bride arrived, about an hour before. We had everything set up and the people came. And he started to explain how they met, which was really a fantastic story. They met at a Gary Renard seminar. And it was so, I'm going to go through it quickly. It was sort of like this. There was like one space of the room that had hardly any people in it. Katja went in there and sat there. And later on, Fleming came in, and he sat in the back at first with some people that he knew. And then for some reason, he just felt as if he was completely drawn, almost picked up and carried over to sit right beside Katja in like just a section like that where there's hardly any people. And she looks at him like, well, why did you sit here, you know? Didn't even know him. And that progressed on to eventually They did connect and had each other's email address. At one point, some friends of Fleming's had invited him to a dinner, and they brought Katja along too. He didn't know she was coming, so there was that connection too. And there was one time when Katja sent Fleming an email, and she sent it purposely late at night, like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, thinking that he won't get to it till later and he'll have time to think about it. And, I think it said something like, maybe we should get together or something. It seems like we have a connection. 14 seconds later, he emailed back. and then the story goes on from that. You know, they just were completely in love. They knew they had a connection through the Holy Spirit. They started their relationship as a holy relationship. And it's been, I've watched it progress. It's just amazing to see how these folks work on things together. They just have this unique way of looking at each other and knowing that one or the other is in that place of turmoil where we all go. I just had that happen after I came back. I want to talk about that a little bit too. But anyway, it's just a beautiful thing to watch, and they're just amazing people. I love them so much. And it was an instantaneous love. First time I met them last year. Forget where I was going with all that now. Oh, Lisa's the best, what do you call it? Minister of love ever. She can do a fantastic wedding. So the wedding was, like I said, it was basically a Course in Miracles wedding. I've never seen anything like it before. Fleming got up and spoke in Danish. I didn't understand every word. I picked out a few words, but I knew what he was going to talk about because he shared it, you know. And he said he was going to speak in Danish, so it was great. I could tell from the reactions of the people, because many of the people there were not A Course in Miracles folks at all. Some of them never even heard of any pathway like this. So what he was doing was sharing their story, how they met and all of that. And he spoke for about 45 minutes on just the love that they share and how they came together through the Course in Miracles and the Gary Renard thing and all that. And then Bill Free got up for about 15 minutes and spoke about holy relationships versus special relationships. If you want to know anything about that, look it up in A Course in Miracles. It's a long subject, trust me. So then the bride was going to arrive, and she came up and walked up the aisle. There was a malfunction with the camera because the night before we had set everything up for the bride to come in this one door and walk up the aisle, and we had the camera all set to catch most of it, and I was standing by the camera. I was the responsible guy. So what happens? As soon as Scott comes up to the door, Lisa says, "Everybody stand, please." Everybody's standing right in front of the camera, so I had to fumble with the camera and hold it way up high. Those folks over there are really tall. And so anyway, I got most of that covered. She came up, and what Lisa had done was she had them share, write down what they saw in each other and what they loved about each other, and then share it up in front of everybody. And that was the most beautiful thing ever. I just thought that was, you're the best. That's no doubt about it. So the wedding was awesome. The two workshops that we did, of course, they were fantastic. Holy Spirit was there the whole time, guiding everybody to all kinds of joinings. There were even many things on the breaks that happened that I thought was phenomenal, with, you know, just with myself and some others. So Spirit being in action at these kind of things where you're joining, just like right now. I mean, we think we're separate, but we are not separate. This is all one mind in action right here, right now. the workshop in Sweden. Transformations, I have never seen anything happen this fast. It was the first day, and the Swedish, I think, are a little bit more conservatively minded with extending themselves than the Danish. So it's just a little bit different mentality with that. But the first, one woman specifically, I remember the first evening, she was asked to come up and share something, and she said she had this great fear of speaking in front of people. Do you remember her name? I don't remember her name. Anyway, she got up there after a couple minutes, and of Lisa coaching her, she shared her story, and the next day, she was like the first one up, wanting to talk and tell everybody about, share with what happened to her the night before. It was just amazing. And then by the end of the week, everybody was like literally just all one person. It was like we got together for our photograph, and you could just feel the energy in the room. Everybody was really seeing the Christ in each other. It was just amazing. I loved it. All right, I just want to share one other thing here that I came upon. I've known about this book for a long time. It's Conversations with God. It was channeled through Neale Walsch. Has anybody heard of it?
Yeah.
I just want to read the back. This is a great book. And it means God talking to you when you read it. So it's titled on the back, The Dialogue Begins. And this is from God talking to you. I have heard the crying of your heart. I have seen the searching of your soul. I know how deeply you have desired the truth. In pain have you called out for it and in joy. Unendingly have you beseeched me. Show myself, explain myself, reveal myself. Remember, this is God talking to you right now. I am doing so here in terms so plain you cannot misunderstand, in language so simple you cannot be confused, in vocabulary so common you cannot get lost in the verbiage. So go ahead now, ask me anything, anything. I will contrive to bring you the answer. The whole universe will I use to do this, so be on the lookout. This book is far from my only tool. You may ask a question, then put this book down, but watch and listen. The words to the next song you hear, the information in that next article you read, the storyline of the next movie you watch, the chance utterance of the next person you meet, or the whisper of the next river, the next ocean, the next breeze that caresses your ear. All these devices are mine. All these avenues are open to me. I will speak to you if you will listen. I will come to you if you will invite me. I will show you then that I have always been here, there, always. That's God talking to us. I have all the volumes of this on my boat. It's been sitting there just waiting for me to pick it up and read it. Somebody loaned it to me, but I haven't been reading it. And many times when you go on these spiritual adventures like we did in Denmark and Sweden, there's some powerful, powerful stuff that goes on there. It literally raises you off the planet at certain points. But what we all know is sometimes when you come back from those things and you start to settle into daily life, the ego really starts to slap you around. It really starts to slap you around. And that's what I had happen this past week. I was like in a really dark place. I didn't even know why. I still don't. But it was like every insignificant thing that came up for me in this past week, it felt like the end of the world. You know, it's like every mechanical thing I have is breaking. What's up with that? I don't get it. Do I have the money to pay for all this crap? And it's all insignificant. I look back on it, who cares? Who cares? Who cares about any of it? It's not real. And it actually, normally I can go to the place of handing it off to the Holy Spirit like that. Didn't happen this week. It took 3 days for me to remember that little task. It's so simple, right? But it took 3 days for me to remember, oh, Holy Spirit, look at this with me. And then, you know, I can't say it's all completely gone, but mostly gone. It's all in the who cares category. And the ego will really work on you sometimes, but you've got to remember and use tools like this. This is just another tool. Course in Miracles, best book out there. That's really good. I'm definitely going to be reading this. Okay, I'm done. Thank you guys very much. I love you. I'm so happy to be back.
Awesome, Al. I love you. Yeah, like, I'm glad you just brought up what you said, because I was talking to somebody this week also, and she also has a Course in Miracles for a long time, and she hit a wall. And so I wanted to just talk about that experience, because that's everybody's experience. That's my experience. I don't care how advanced you are. I don't care how much you think you know. I don't care how long you've been studying this. Like, we're here. And you're going to hit these, like, I see them as like energy fields, where you hit a pocket of something. And this is the work. The work is salvation of the world depends on me recognizing that I'm in a space like this, and that I'm doing the work. That I'm simply saying, okay, let me just take a minute. Let me just center. Let me come back into the practices again. And so that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. I just wanted to really just get you thinking about your gift. So yeah, I was looking at this idea. I've been thinking about this sentence: only by fulfilling the function given you by God will you be happy. So, and then this morning, you know, I'm doing these workbook lessons and doing audios on them. And this morning I did lesson 186, Salvation of the World Depends on Me. And it's that same idea. So salvation of the world depends on me because I made the world. That everything that seems to be happening, I put it there. This is my imagery. So salvation of the world depends on me and my forgiveness to undo all of these ideas. And to me, the fastest way to do it is to find your gift and to give it away. So I wanted us to just do like a practical exercise. I've been thinking about this all week long. What is your gift? So everyone has a gift. Many of you have several gifts. And your gift is different than your ability or your talent. So you need to find the gift and you need to start giving it. You know, I have this belief that the reason people get sick is because they're blocking. You have something that you're supposed to be giving. You're supposed to be in the extension. You're supposed to be sharing because that's naturally what you are. And when you're sitting around waiting for something to change and something to shift, you're blocking. And just like in any natural system, when something's blocking, like it just turns all to muck. You know, if you've ever seen a river that has a tree in the middle of it, it's like the part that's not flowing, it just stagnant, it starts to smell, and that's what your body does. Literally. You start to smell and stink up the place. Right?
True.
And so you want to start to say, oh my God, okay.
Well, that's what
So
you
A Course in Miracles is a systematic way to start to identify the way you're thinking. You start to notice that there literally are two different thought systems. And you start to be determined to locate your own blocks and obstacles and have them be removed. So lesson 186, which I was looking at this morning, Salvation of the World Depends on Me, is actually a lesson about releasing your own unworthiness. It's about releasing, the word it uses is to let go of your self-deceiving arrogance, your doubt, your unworthiness. There is one way and only one to be released from the imprisonment your plan to prove the false is true has brought to you, accept the plan you did not make instead. So this is all the human being does, is it is determined to prove the false. It's determined. And the way you know that you're trying to prove that the false is true is when you're making an excuse. Every single time you say, I can't do that, you are determined to prove the false is true. So this is a systematic way now for you to start looking at, like, who's running the show in your life? Is it ego, or is it the spirit of you? And like when I was driving down here this morning, I was thinking about the July 4th weekend, and I'm so glad you're here, Monica, because you're a part of this story. But 15 years ago, on July 4th, 2000, I was living in New York City, and I was working in publishing, had a great job, and I had been stuck for many years. I just felt like this can't be it. I'm making good money, I've got a great apartment, I've got everything the world told me I'm supposed to have, and something's seriously wrong. And for maybe, I don't know, a year before that July 4th weekend, 2000, I kept looking for another job. I kept thinking, that's what's going to solve my problem. And that's what the human being does. It thinks another relationship, a different job, a different location, a holiday. But what you come to realize is nothing satisfies you anymore. Nothing. Dreams are dreams, and they're not going to satisfy you. You've just come to this point when your mind is ready to just go through the barrier. And I had no reference of God before that point. I had zero reference of Jesus. I didn't have a religion. I did have the course, but I wasn't really looking at it seriously. And the reason I love teaching is because of the experiences that I've had when you simply announce in your own home by yourself, you don't have to make a big deal about it, you call on God. You just call on God. And that's what I did. July 4th, 2000, I stood in my living room and I said, God, if you're there, I want to work for you now. And 6 days later, I got fired from that job. I was the office darling. I'd been there for 10 years. They loved me. And that was how I began. That was the first experience. That wasn't a concept. I got fired. You know, it was like a real experience. And I remember sitting in the office. Our company had been bought out by another company in a different state. I got fired by people that didn't even know me. They were just chopping off top salaries, and I was the first to go. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, I've been hired by God. I don't even know what this means, but I asked for it. And I had been thinking, God needs me part-time. Like I thought, okay, I'm going to work for God, and I'm going to go work in a soup kitchen. But God doesn't work like that. He needs you full-time. And that's the place when you call on this invisible yet very real presence, things start to shift and move. And that's why A Course in Miracles says the first characteristic that's needed is trust. Because you are definitely going to be catapulted into the unknown. I mean, I know many of you already have. And so when that happened to me, I got literally put into the unknown. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. I'm living in the most expensive city, probably in the world. I'm all alone. But I had that space of like, I am willing to stand here. And Monica showed up. Monica showed up in my life. And that's where like you start to really see that when you do these practices, you're not thinking about them anymore. You say, okay, I am willing to have my life changed. and angels start to come in. And you need to have your eyes open. You need to have your eyes open to see what's in front of you. So thank you, Monica. She showed up right after that. Greta showed up first that Wednesday. Teddy showed up that Sunday. And you and Liberty and Susan Laurel showed up that weekend.
We were doing an event, right?
Yeah, and it's just like, and that's like a total gift. And it's even for a year, she knows, I did not want to go where these guys were going. They were from an academy that I'd heard about. And see, this is the interesting part when I look at it now. Like you came, and you don't even know that you came from me. Not in the moment.
Not them.
But when I look back on it, my resistance, like I'm telling you, absolutely today, something's going to show up that's an answer to your prayer. But are you like seeing it? Can you see that the path is being opened? Yes.
I'm seeing a rainbow in the cloud behind your head.
Excellent. That's good. So
How did she show up? What did she do?
she showed up in they were teaching A Course in Miracles there.
Uh-huh.
So like what happened to me on right before Monica showed up, you didn't actually show up right at that weekend. You maybe showed up 6 months later. So I got fired from my job. I made this dedication that I was just going to live A Course in Miracles. And I thought, I had my own idea, like now the money's gonna come, everything's gonna be easy. Wrong again. So it got to be the end of my 6-month money that was coming in from that job. I got some sort of a severance package and I got unemployment benefits. It got to the 6 months, I hadn't seen a dime come in. And I told God to F off. I just said, I told you that I was working for you and I'm fulfilling my end of the bargain and you, screw you. That was serious. I was just like, whatever. So I ripped up my course book. And I said, haha, you want to find me? You're going to have to come and get me because I'm done. And I really thought that I won the game because the only time that I left my apartment was to the liquor store, the cigarette store, and my Wednesday night Course in Miracles book. And I thought he's never going to find me because I never leave my apartment anymore. Well, haha. You know, so I went to my Wednesday night course group and Greta was there. That same Wednesday. And this woman simply spoke her story. She just was speaking from like the truth of her experience. She wasn't even, there was nothing fancy about her. You know, there was not, I just thought she was this older lady who maybe was new to the course. But the second she opened her mouth, I knew she's had the experience that I want. And you're going to meet people like that, and then you will become that person for other people. You now will become the light, the answer to someone else's prayer when you walk into a room. And I followed Greta out the room, and then she told me there's this group that meets on Sundays. And they teach A Course in Miracles, and that's where you go. And so, since then, it's just been a listening for the next step. What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? So what I just wanted to do is, I really want us, each and every one, I want you to think about what is your gift, because you need to start using it. I am entrusted with the gifts of God. So Jesus talks in the Course in Miracles about the gift of grace, the gift of vision. Holy Spirit's vision is a gift. What is your gift? And are you using it? Because it says you will never be happy until you find your function and you fulfill it. So I just want us to just take maybe 5 minutes just to be quiet And if you want to write, if you have any paper or anything, or you don't have to. But your gift is not your ability or your talent. Like I was thinking that maybe my gift is writing. I don't think my gift is writing. I think I have an ability to write, and I love writing. But my gift is, like I have a gift of getting people excited. And I get them excited, and I have a gift of getting people to do things that they would never do. And I've always done this. I do it very easily and effortlessly, ever since I was a child. I just have this thing of like, oh, you know what would be fun? And then I just march everyone off a cliff. And I've been doing it forever though. And I make everyone excited about it, you know? And I have a gift of, yeah, and then they see they can fly.
Oh.
But I've always been doing that. Like if you went back to all of my high school friends and asked them to describe Lisa, they would say, oh, she was way out there. She was always getting everyone to come to a party. She was always the one that was setting things up. And to me, it was no effort. And like I was thinking about you, Sean, like with the photography. I don't believe that photography is your gift. Photography is the talent and the ability through which your gift flows through. Does that make sense? So each and every one of us is to find out there's a gift of healing. There's the gift to make people laugh. Music is a gift. Because when you find your gift and you start using it, you start finding ways to like make it almost like a craft isn't the word, but you like teaching is a gift of mine. And I don't do it very often. You know, in Denmark, like the ones that invited us to come, they ended up saying to me, Lisa, because I always put people in front. And they said, you need to stop doing that. You need to start expressing. And that's my pure point. That's the thing I don't want to do. So I started to say, okay, like, wow, maybe I do need to start teaching more. So it really is just, for right now, I want us just to do a little bit of a meditation where we're just going to just first center. And what I want you to think about is, what is it that you do with no effort? I want you to think about when you're with people, it's when you enter a room, maybe it's when you're by yourself. There's something that is uniquely yours that is your gift. There is something that happens when you speak, like there's a vibration of your words and you say it. And when we are at Endeavor Academy, we had something called declarations class, which I've talked about here before. And that's sort of the model that I always saw for this group, is that people start speaking from the truth of who they are. And when you do that, you literally don't even know the vibrations that you're setting forth just by saying, my gift is healing. You claim it, you're owning it now. And the energy fields just start moving. They start moving, and they start busting up stuff, and they start moving people into your experience. And that's why I get excited to teach this material, because I know it works. You know, but this is a good exercise. Like for me, I've been looking at it all week long of, like, what am I here for? You know, we've been sent by God into this closed and hopeless learning situation that teaches nothing but death and despair. Into this situation, God sends his teachers, and that's us. And so, like, instead of sitting around waiting for your life to begin or waiting for your transformation to happen, you recognize, I'm awake. I'm awake, and I am the light of the world. I am whole and perfect. And if I still fall into a hole occasionally or every day, it doesn't matter, because, like, you have the tools to just remember again. And so, to me, like, this has just been, you know, coming back from this trip and really looking at, like, okay, it's a new moment again. It's a new moment, and, like, what is it that I'm good at? That's easy for me, that's fun, and that I'm giving to the world. What is that thing? And then just to look at it. And then to say, okay, this is what my life is about now. It's about really just giving this gift, because Jesus says that this world needs light. It needs you.